Alright, so welcome back everybody to Off the Beaten Rack. First of all, disclaimer. This comic book, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, the name is not just a joke. It has blood, gore, violence, galore. Tons of it. If you don't want to see blood, anything like that, there's no nudity or anything. But if you don't want to see any gore, violence, anything like that, you don't want your kids seeing it, that's fine. Just don't go any further. Just don't report this video. It's dumb. Black and white. This is cartoons. This is not me promoting violence. It's not me trying to show your children violence. Anyway. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Now, this comic was like, it was available at Hot Topic. I'm pretty sure you can still go and actually buy these single issues, which are probably in their maybe 24th or 25th printing. Not joking. Slave labor keeps them in print. It's awesome. I like that. Cool. For a comic that's seen that many, printings, I don't hear a lot of people actually talk about Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Hear a lot of people talk about Invader Zim, the comic now. Those cartoon adaptations are real big, but this is the mind behind the original cartoon, and this is the book that landed him that job. I'm not into blood and gore. This book, I did a lot of research, and I found one really good interview with Yonan Vasquez. And he talked about when he was a little kid, his sister took him to see Alien. And he was probably too young to have gone and seen it. And he got like super obsessed with aliens and parasites and all of this. He knew this older kid. There was this like 14-year-old kid. He was about like, I think he was like 9, 10, something like that. He knew this older kid who had a making of Alien book. And this is like back in the day before like, internet and all of that stuff. So he would get this book and he would open it up to the page where it was the chest burster coming out of Kane's chest. And he said he realized that like it was fake, because it was from a movie and he knew it was like not real, but he found it like uncomfortable to look at. And so from a very young age, he knew that there were people who got paid to make other people uncomfortable. That is one of the underlying, it's not an issue, but I guess an agenda of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. It is supposed to like push your buttons with all this over the top, just like he's having fun. There are very few comics that I think would benefit from like being blown up like absolute edition style as much as Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, because like a lot of this book, it's not hard to read or anything, but it gets small for these side pages, and like it'd be really nice to have this in like a big oversized edition. If you've never read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, I don't even really want to like get into trying to explain what the story is about, other than Johnny the Homicidal Maniac is the main character. He's a homicidally maladjusted, haywire individual who murders people, and he like paints this wall in his house with blood to keep this demon from coming through it, and like it's crazy. But it gets into like some seriously you can see it gets like Saw dark. Like it gets into some really weird, dodgy gore territory at certain points, but it also deals pretty heavily with the psychology of somebody this broken. I really like it. These guys are awesome. Mr. F and Psycho Doughboy, they're like kind of his, like the evil part of his conscience. And then there's this thing called Nail Bunny, which is this like little baby bunny that he bought and then nailed to the wall, and it like floats around. It's like his conscience. You'll probably see like, you're like, what the, why does everything keep like changing? It's gone like sideways. There's Filler Bunny. Oh, yeah, cute little Filler Bunny. And like, why is there like these little mini comics and like shit's gone sideways? This is like Happy Noodle Boy, which is like one of my absolute, I'm just gonna say I have 2 Happy Noodle Boy tattoos right away. So, yeah, I love Happy Noodle Boy. I would love to see Yonan Vasquez just do a book of Happy Noodle Boy. But it is a book that's supposed to be written by Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Yonan, like, created this character, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I think his name was, like, Johnny C. or Johnny the Little Homicidal Maniac. They're in the back, some of them. Like, he created the character for, like, when he was in high school. This is the director's cut. One thing, super, super cool. At the end, there's some really nice breakdowns and information. He gives you, like, issue by issue what was going on, like, with his life and, like, what the issue's kind of about. And there's some, like, it's the little Homicidal Maniac. They're all in the back. Like, some of those are in the back to just give you an example of, like, where it evolved from. And they've got, like, self-deprecating commentary to them. The thing that does suck, not only is it a big fucking drawback for this book, but it's really, really grates on my nerves when I read these, because they specifically, like, he talks about Noodle Boy here, and then he's talking about the meanwhile here, he's talking about the meanwhile here, and he's talking about the meanwhile here. It's like, okay, so you're reading this and you've never read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac before, right? Well, what meanwhiles are you talking about? Because despite the fact that this is called the director's cut, those meanwhiles are missing from this book. Like I said, you can get this for like $2 or $3 off Amazon. But the thing is like, you also kind of have to get the Squee. And Squee is this little guy right here. He's Johnny's neighbor, basically. He is, like, used over and over again throughout this story to kind of illustrate in the real world what our reaction to this, like, horrible, insane person would be. There's hidden jokes and text in a lot of the borders. Everything is a joke in this. Like, every little like, his art is deceptively simplistic. And again, from a young age, he knew that there were people who were paid to make you uncomfortable. That is what he is doing here. Even his art style is designed to be aggressive and angular and in your face and busy and aggressive and make you upset and pay attention and make you feel uncomfortable. It's very, very well done. This guy had a kids cartoon show on Nickelodeon. That's another really interesting thing that you should probably take into account when reading this, or thinking about, like, oh man, this is really violent and really messed up, and, you know, I don't know if should I enjoy this, or is this really messed up? Who's the person that's making this? This dude made a kid's cartoon, and it wasn't like, I'm not saying like it was like, you know, Donald Duck and stuff, but it was a kid's show. It was not inappropriate for children. I see a lot of people who are like, yeah, my kids loved this book and stuff, and I will tell you, man, like, if your kid's not like a fairly worldly, like 14 or 15-year-old, I don't know if they should be reading this, man. That's a hole in his head. Like, he is dead and he's getting ready to go to hell, and like, oh yeah, sorry dude, he stomps Johnny's, like, he like skull stomps the hole in Johnny's head, and like it kills him. Like, that costs him the time that he would have gotten away, and he gets eaten by this like Lovecraftian monster that like pops through the void in his wall. But like, reality literally like kind of blips out, and then he goes to hell, and it's not much stranger than the rest of the book. This book, it's in your face. It's dark, it's bloody, the language is coarse, the art is erratic and hyper detailed and busy, varies extremely from one issue to another. Sometimes page to page is like semi-jarring. Like, you almost feel like these are assembled pages from like a magazine or something. And I would like to say that that is because this is in this collected edition, this director's cut. But really, that's not it. Johnny is like stream of consciousness thought kind of thing for Yonan Vasquez. And like, if you go back into the back of this director's cut and you read the stuff that started off when he was in high school, and you read, like, each issue has this really great breakdown. This, I wish there was more stuff out there like this, to be very, very honest. These are great. If you read these, he will tell you, I had to rush to get this one done, or like, I just wanted to have fun with this issue. I think issue 6 is he's like, yeah, I got to quit my job because I was making enough money off comic books. Oh, yeah, where he goes to hell. He's like, yeah, all right. He gets all liberated and like shit gets existential as hell, and like really goes off the rockers right before ending. Like, this like, God's book is just bizarre. This is a fucking artistic statement. This made me go out and get out of this like bullshit Marvel rut that I'd fallen into, where it was like, oh yeah, I need to be reading The Web of Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the Adjectiveless Spider-Man, and blah blah blah, because I like spice. You can have a good, crazy, off-the-wall series that is like original and different and not retreading ground and not like the same spandex bullshit shoved. And I love that stuff. You guys know. I mean, you guys have watched the channel enough, I'm sure, but I love that stuff. But like, you need a good break from it every now and then. And it's hard to find people that are approachable enough in comic book format, but are willing to break with, man, I want to work for Marvel. I want to work for DC. You read this and you know Yonan Vasquez didn't give a flying fuck about that. Like, this is like just Yonan doing a comic book, and it's awesome. It's amazing, super cool. He has said that he will never, ever, ever, ever come back to John the Homicidal Maniac as a character and write this series again. 20 years ago, when I found this fucking series, like, that really upset me. He has stuck to his guns. He's never done that. I'm glad, man. He did do this series Squee, which, as I said, pick up the trade paperback. I probably should have grabbed that out to show you guys, because it does have the meanwhiles for this. I have it sitting around. Johnny makes a small cameo in that book. It's just a fun little extension of this universe. If you enjoy this book, you'll like Squee. There's also a third part to this series called I Feel Sick, which talks about this chick, Devi. Just everything goes wrong for Devi. She goes on a date with Johnny, but she escapes. Like, she gets away. Devi's life is basically completely screwed up because of this crap. Like, yeah, here she is, like, escaping. Like, she gets away, but, like, Devi doesn't really get away. She's mentally jacked. And, like, this series, I Feel Sick, is about, like, her talking to this portrait, to this painting that she's doing that she calls Sickness. I don't know if Yonan didn't ever really want to do comics, or he just kind of grew out of comics, or he achieved what he wanted in comics, or, like, what. The last thing that I know of, he did, like, 3-issue arc for Marvel Comics that went over really, really well, I think. He never had a follow-up project. I'll put it that way. Like, Invader Zim kind of, like, fell flat, and then after Invader Zim got canceled, like, because he left the show before it got canceled just to go do other stuff, because he always wants to go do other stuff, and it's like, cool, okay, and then you wait for the other stuff, and it just never quite materializes. And I think maybe this is, like, unfortunately one of those cases of, like, somebody getting fairly nice residual checks on a consistent basis and being able, like, if they need money, he just goes and he does some, like, designs for Nick. And there's nothing wrong with that. He is a illustrator working in the graphic design field, and that is not me slashing or burning at him. It's me being like, man, I wish we had more of these black and white crazy books to look at. We're lucky we got what we got. I go to comic shops all the time, and like nobody wants to deal with this book. They don't want to talk about like that, the fact that there may be substance to this book. They don't want to talk about the fact you can get this at Hot Topic, and that brought in a lot of people to the genre that would never have otherwise messed with it at all. But it's all true. This is an important comic book. Whether you want to believe that or not, whether you can see that or not, it is. And you might even have to be of the right generation or like just the right mindset maybe, but this book was important. It changed a lot of stuff, and I think it opened the door for a lot of other like really outsider cartoonists to make artistic personal statements that expanded beyond the normal limitations of the next issue of Ghost Rider. You know what I mean? So go out. If you can find it at your local shop, as always, support your local shop. But pick this up. Get in the comments section below. Like, maybe you've read this. Maybe you have buddies who are into it and you want to go out and read it. Get in the comments section below. Let me know what you think about this book. Like, is there actual substance? Like, am I being nostalgic? Is this just me being like, hey, I read this as a kid and like I like it? I don't think so. Let me know what you think. Like, I really want to have like some dialogue about this book specifically, especially because I'm interested to see what other people think of this book. This is really good. It probably shouldn't be, but it's really good. Pick it up. Let me know what you think. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for sticking with me. And as always, keep reading comics, folks.